legacy. It's a great word. It has many different definitions, but there is one definition that I would like to read to you. It's the second definition listed on Google. And I quote, verbatim, "The long-lasting impact of particular events, actions, etc. that took place in the past or of a person's life." In that case, the particular actions and events, we're referring to my existence on this platform. On January 23rd, 2016, I made my video debut as a 9-year-old kid. And I sit here today just before January 23rd of 2026. It is about to be 10 years, or a decade. And considering the fact that I was 9 years old when I started, this means that I have spent more time in my life on YouTube than I have not on YouTube. What the fuck is wrong with me? My name is Jaden Sosa, and it has been such since 2006. I would like to take this moment to reflect on how ridiculous this journey has been. When you're 9 years old and you're putting yourself on the internet, first of all, I don't recommend doing that. You should not be doing that. I am in the wrong here. I posted a video of me playing with my Bop It toy and had no anticipation of it going anywhere. I wanted people to see it. That's why I posted it on YouTube to begin with, but I never expected to go past that point. No 9-year-old really does, unless you're being extremely unrealistic, which that's possible. I can't even really remember 2016 very well as a year. It was the year before my sister was born, and I do remember that year quite well. But the year before, it's kind of a blur. A lot of years in my life are blurs. What I do, of course, recognize is that this was the first year I started making content, and it was very bad. And it was just videos that I shot from my iPad, 4th generation piece of shit iPad. Even in 2016, that thing was outdated. I had, 20 subscribers at that point, I think, approximately. I could not even tell you who those 20 people are. And I doubt any of those 20 are even still here. But why did I start posting videos? Well, it's a pretty simple story. Back in 2010, the very first iPad released. I remember that time period quite well because I remember seeing one. I don't know if it was in the year 2010, but it was very early in my life. And I was absolutely infatuated by it. And then I discovered that YouTube was one of the pre-installed applications. iOS doesn't do that anymore. Great job. The moment that I started looking at it, I was fucking hooked. And I never went back. It's crazy how an iPad can change someone's life like that. Then, of course, I upgraded into commenting on videos and subscribing to channels as a fucking little kid, which once again, I do not recommend, but that's how it was back then. And then, of course, 2016 rolled around. The channel's original name, the very first channel's original name, because this is actually the 4th attempt at YouTube, was JS. Very simple name. People still call me Jay today. And those videos sucked. They really did suck. And they would not get better for a while. 2017 was a different sort of year. It was probably the year I remember best in my life. It was a very happy year. I continued to post many videos. It got me to 50 subscribers and then 100 subscribers. My first 100 subscribers happened on July 21st, 2017. Which was actually my 11th birthday, so you know what, I'll take it. I was not a member of any community at this point, but my name was, I guess, starting to circulate a little bit. Then 2018 came around, and that was when the first channel really hit its peak. I had 210 subscribers, which is an astronomically small number, but for someone my age at the time, just before 12 years old, that meant a lot to me. And then, of course, the first channel was erased on June 23rd, 2018. And that definitely hurt to watch. But the next day, I came back with a second channel, J Productions. This was by far my most successful effort. It might still be my most successful effort, which is not great, but not much I can do about that. At first, I didn't know what I was doing with this channel, but under the second channel, I met many more individuals. In 2019, specifically, I created what is my magnum opus, as many children would call it. Granted, it is not my magnum opus, but it is probably the most successful thing I've done up to this point at a consistent rate, it's not scary. INS. Saying that name, I've tried not to acknowledge this series in years because, fun fact, people cyberstalk me over it. But if you know who I am, there's a good chance you know it's from INS. INS was a series where I reviewed logos, specifically those that the internet deemed frightening, and determined if they actually were. And by the way, a vast, vast majority of them are not. At first, this series was very barren. It was literally just a series where I talked about logos. But as the series progressed, I began adding plot to the series. And this was my first delve into actual legitimate storytelling. 2021 was especially a very important year. One, because it was the halfway point between 2016 and now 2026, but also because it was my peak at the time. It was when I had 2,000 subscribers on the second channel, which is a milestone we are getting very close to, by the way, on this one. And it was when I became the most prominent figure of that community. Not the most popular that everyone knew, but it's when people started taking me seriously. You know, taking a 14 to 15-year-old seriously, because that's what people do. And then on November 11th of 2021, that channel, all of its videos got taken down. Once again, that ruined me, but this time it was even worse, because I had worked so hard on this specific channel in a way that I could not say about the original 2016 channel. And from that point on, I entered what were probably the worst years of my life, 2022 and 2023. I don't want to spend too much time on those years. But in 2024, things finally started looking up, and I began developing what we know now as the Prucon channel and the Prucon series. And from Husker Dust and beyond, I think I don't have to say much else. To think that my legacy has changed so much in the past 10 years. At first it was I was a local community member, then it was I was an asshole for 2 years, and now my reputation is more so in the VivziePop community, which is interesting. I'm not sure if I should be happy or upset about that, but I shouldn't actually care, because you know what? The fact that people know who I am and care for what I have to say is enough validation for me to want to keep making content. And I have to say that although I have had past groups who were not the greatest influence on me, and particular people who really sucked, there are so many individuals now who are so fucking talented, more talented than I ever could be, that I'm just immensely grateful to have in my community. Of course, there is the creative team behind the Prucon series, with members such as Lucianus and Bank and Lord Zillion and Alden Moeller and Focus Corner, of course. And then there are the people surrounding the Prucon development team, Commonwealth, Lorette, Jade, Bonsai Jimmy, and just so many other people who I have not named. It's crazy how many people are surrounding me who are just so immensely gifted in what they do, and they want to contribute to what I'm doing. And I think that's something really special. And I would like to say that even though this is supposed to be 10 years of my career, it's not a career, but we'll call it that for the sake, it's less about me and more about the audience and the friends and the surrounding individuals who have allowed this entire operation to exist for as long as it has existed. I would be absolutely nothing without the unconditional support of all of you. Those that I have named and those I may have forgotten. All of you have been immensely and immeasurably impactful in what we have been building here. And for sure, I want to continue this, and I'm just so grateful. There's not much else I can really comment on when it comes to that. I would like to briefly mention something to up-and-coming creators, if this may help to know. Equipment is not something you really truthfully need to become whatever you would call this. I film my videos with a phone. I do not have a professional camera, and I've never owned one. This is a Samsung Galaxy S24, and it records in 4K, and it does everything I need. It is also my microphone. I do not own a professional microphone. I never have. All it takes is a phone and a computer and an editing software. If there's one thing I'm extremely grateful for, it's how persistent this operation has been. After losing so many channels in 2018, 2021, and 2022, I didn't talk about that one, but it did happen. People still follow what I do, including what I do now, the Prucon series. I've made an entire video about explaining how and why I make this series and the intentions behind it, but it's interesting to see that even though there are certain individuals from past adjacent communities who I know who have been doing this for longer than I have or about the same amount of time as I have, and yet I have had a more lasting impact on the internet than these people. It's an honor to be able to sit here and speak to an audience, a decently sized audience, and say, I love you, and thank you for allowing this to happen. It's amazing how far this has come, and I hope for many more incredible years of content and community, for sure. Now, considering that this is my 10th anniversary special video, I wanted to address a couple of questions here and there. I posted about this publicly, saying, ask me the most personal questions you've got, and now I would like to take the time to address them. So I'll pick this up, and let's start reading some questions. Alright, so the first question here comes from Orca P. What's your favorite video you've ever made across the entire 10 years of making content? Why is this? So, back in 2018, I made a video called Chubby Bunny Fail, and that was a really great video. I think it really encompasses everything I've ever done, period. It's an absolute masterclass in production and execution, and just, Okay, but the serious answer is, as of now, probably Why I Love Moxie, an episode of Act 1 of Prucon, was my favorite video to write and produce and edit. I think it was probably one of the best written episodes of Prucon, and just overall, it was probably one of my best comedic episodes. However, I will say this. Episode 9 of Prucon, which should be coming out very, very, very soon, whenever this is uploaded, might be my new favorite. It is a very long episode, not the longest of all time, but it's up there. And it's a big one. And I'm really excited for you guys to see it. It's going to be great. I promise you. It's going to be a great episode. So, favorite video that's out now is the Moxie one. Favorite video that I'm producing, if we're including the future, it's got to be the next episode. Next question is coming here from Focus Corner. Of course. You and I have been together for over 7 years. And throughout that time, lots of shit went down. Both good, bad, and horrid, especially in the early 2020s. Have any events such as those, and people like me, influenced the way you go about your content? I think the obvious answer is yes. I would not be the same person I am now if certain events did not occur. And especially 2020, 2021, and of course, the dark years, plenty of things happened that have shaped the person I have become now. And am I happy with who I am? I wouldn't say I'm 100% there, but overall, I would say I've developed a stance on the world that I'm comfortable with. How does this affect the content? I feel like a lot of it is I'm much more down to earth than some of my contemporaries. I feel like I'm a lot more realistic. Even though I'm playing characters and such, I feel like my overall temperament in my videos is very moderate, and I'm reasonable, and I try to look at everything as equally as I can. Whereas my contemporaries are a bit more radical in certain senses. But overall, yes, of course. Who I am now was shaped by plenty of events that have occurred to me over the years. Next question comes from Alden Moeller. Do you think there is life on Earth? No, of fucking course not. Why would there be life on Earth? What the fuck even is Earth? What is Earth? Next question from Commonwealth. What inspires your content? I like knowing people's sources of inspiration for what they create. I've had many inspirations over the years. If we're referring to Prucon specifically, first of all, it's inspired by the products I used to make, INS. It's a continuation of INS, actually. And in terms of other creators, I've had plenty of inspirations. I can name James Rolfe. I can name Jonathan Rosansky, Mr. Enter. I can name Jesse Ridgway of McJuggernuggets. Those are the three who have really influenced Prucon itself. Prucon is a little mesh of all three of these creators, in a sense. Prucon's story is almost entirely based on just real things that happened in my life. Particularly some of those internal feelings that most people, my contemporaries, would not be sharing. And I don't really share the real what's going on in here, but I do exaggerate it and almost address it in a way. Also, my voice just went really high. Let's ignore that. Living has definitely inspired the content a lot. And that's my answer to that question. Next one here, I believe this is the last question. It's from Jade. How old were you when you decided to do silly characters such as Prucon? Great grammar, Jade. The question is simply asking, when did I start developing this story? The answer is, it was in 2018, and I was 12 years old. Me and Ray, Focus Corner, we did a joint venture at the end of 2018, and this is what I consider the start of the canon. It didn't start at the INS. It obviously did not start with Prucon, or Ezo Explains, or anything. It began many years before that. And I believe this was when, internally, I was like, even though I was only 12 years old, I still had this internal feeling like, let's craft something out of this. I think we both felt that. And to see how that has developed over time is fucking great. So yeah, 12 years old, and now I'm 19, still doing it. Still fucking making bullshit stories with fedoras and lizards. And you guys are watching. Now, there is one more thing I would like to share with all of you. 10 years ago, my first ever video was me beating Bobbit Micro Series. Well, this right here in my drawer is the exact model that I beat 10 years ago. And it only makes sense to do it again. 10 years later, uncut, just as how it was. And maybe do it in a single take this time. Hopefully. I'm not too sure if I'm going to be able to, but let's see how much better at Bobbit I've gotten in 10 years.
Solo, blasting, high score 100.
Let's do it.
Pull it, twist it, pull it, bop it, pull it, twist it, pull it, twist it, pull it, bop it, twist it, pull it, bop it, twist it, pull it, twist it, pull it, bop it, pull it, bop it, pull it, twist it, bop it, twist it, bop it, twist it, bop it, twist it, bop it, twist it, pull it, twist it, pull it, twist it, pull it, twist it, bop it, pull it, bop it, twist it, bop it, twist it, pull it, bop it, pull it, twist it, bop it, pull it, twist it, pull it, twist it, pull it, bop it, twist it, bop it, pull it, twist it, pull it, twist it, pull it, bop it, twist it, pull it, bop it, twist it, pull it, bop it, twist it, bop it, twist it, bop it, pull it, twist it, pull it, twist it, pull it, bop it, twist it, bop it, pull it, bop it. Wow, you beat Bobbit, score 100.
In one take. In one fucking take. That was the first try. Looks like I've gotten better, haven't I?
Bobbit to keep going.
Well,
Score
Oh, well, I started again. Oh well. There we have it. 10 years later, one take. I think I did pretty well, to be honest. And that's going to be it for the official decade discussion. It was a bit messy here and there, but there we have it. I will leave you with one final thing. Here is a teaser for the video that will release on the 10th anniversary, the 9th episode of Prucon. Please enjoy it. I made it with heart. Until then. Husker Dust. I just don't ship them. I really can't see any further implications through their early interactions other than Angel Dust being a creep. Better as friends than they are as boyfriends, and they don't need to sleep with each other in order to express gratitude. Let the bros have their bromance.
It's just a cartoon, Jowhead. Don't let it get to your head.
No. I made a promise, Mooks. A gentleman's promise. I declare that I shall revisit this subject upon the release of a later season, and, well, that season has arrived far earlier than I anticipated.
You said maybe. You have the option to not do this.
Yes, but what good is it to deny my audience of what they would like to hear? Remember, I owe them everything. They give me strength.
Be my guest then, but remember, everything you do is at your own risk.
Indeed it is, my good sir. Salutations, Homo sapien... Oh, right, I'm massively behind on my VHGL project. Oh, curses! I nearly forgot! Curse you and your ridiculous artistic interruptions, whoever you are.